Hello travelers, Boardman21 here, and today's build will be a Void Knight Warpath build, and this is going to be better than any Warpath before it because you can now stay in it forever and do really good damage without having to sacrifice too many points into nodes that reduce its cost thanks to a new class-specific relic that you can get that takes the cost and minuses it by 3. This also means that you won't have to put into the channeled reduction cost on the helm. And there's a new chest piece that reduces the damage you take while you're moving, so you'll actually take 40% less damage. Now that does mean that you can't get any additional levels to Warpath because that comes on the chest piece, but what it does mean is that you can take a lot less damage, 40% less damage, and have a lot more survivability. And with that, you'll be able to tank through all of the bosses, and you're going to do really good damage. Now we're playing it with Void Knight so that we can stack all of the added Void damage, and you get the biggest boost to melee Void damage through idols and through a bunch of nodes inside of the Void Knight tree, which also increases your critical multiplier for every point that you spend in there. We're also running this with Sigils because Sigils can be converted to Void so that you can spam 3 Sigils while you're actually warpathing, having it on instacast, and then you can Volatile Reversal right afterwards and get all of your mana back and then just keep on warpathing. And then when you do get out of Warpath, when you Volatile Reversal for just a split second, you'll lunge and use Anomaly, and then you get your mana back so you can do it forever. Alright, let's go ahead and get into the skills. For skills, I'm running Volatile Reversal, Warpath, Sigils of Hope, Anomaly, and Lunge. For Volatile Reversal, we're using this just to cast after we've cast the Sigil so that we can get our mana back. Also, if you're in a boss fight, you can use it a lot more then because you'll be bouncing back to the same spot. However, when you're using it to push through your runs in the Monolith of Fate, I don't recommend it as you'll just constantly be pushing yourself backwards instead of forwards. Now, it gives a huge boost to your attack speed and move speed, and then it also gives you a huge boost because it gives you your mana back. So with it, we have 1 point in Incipient Void Rift, 2 points in Traveler's Fatigue, 2 points in Ancient Reversal, 1 point in Terminal Void Rift, 3 points in Dark Expanse, 1 point in Harbinger of Dust, and then for the big ones we have 3 points in Time Sap, 1 point in Time Lost Vitality because we don't care about getting our health back, we'll usually always be at full health, 3 points in Catching Up for that 36% move speed, and 3 points in Warped Time for that 30% attack speed. Now, when you reversal, thanks to the 2 points in Ancient Reversal, you actually go back in time 4 seconds. So what that means is you also get the buff for 4 seconds. Now, you get the attack speed for 4 seconds. Your cooldown is normally 5.1 seconds, but every time you kill something, you get more cooldown recovery. So when you're killing trash mobs, you can actually span this multiple times before the 4 seconds is up, and these 2 buffs will stack, allowing you to get 30, 60, 90% attack speed and cast speed, and your ability to get 36, 72, 108% move speed, which is pretty huge. However, again, when you're killing all the trash mobs, it doesn't do a whole lot of good in the mono because you're just going to be reversing yourself backwards. But in the arena, it is a lot of fun since all the mobs come to you. For Warpath, so the way we went with Warpath is we wanted to make sure that we had the cost reduction at 0. So normally it costs 10. With your relic, you get the implicit. That takes away 3 of the mana cost, which means that you need to get -7 cost to make it free. So we have 3 points in Unchained for a -3 cost, and 1 point in Reckless Spin for a -4 cost. Now this will increase the amount of damage you take from Elemental. However, you'll be capped on Elemental, and you'll have a -40% damage taken chest piece, so you actually come out ahead of this. Then we have 1 point in Void Spiral for the 1 global melee void damage, and you'll take 5% less void damage. That's to unlock Apocalypse Whirl, which gives with 3 points 18% chance to apply Time Rod on all your hits. And then that allows you to put 5 points in Abyssal Tempest, which is going to be your biggest damage boost. What this does is you get 150% more hit damage with Warpath against time-rotted enemies. And you have an 18% chance here, and you have more of a chance given inside of your passive, so within a couple of hits, you'll have Time Rot on, and you'll notice that you suddenly get a huge boost of damage against the mob. We also have 2 points in Iron Reach, so it reaches out further, 1 point in Rolling Blades for some more hit damage, 4 points in Quicksilver Wind so that we fly like the wind. You're going to go super, super fast. For Sigils of Hope, we're going to use it as a complete damage buff to our build. You can convert all of its added void damage, or all of its added damage to void, which really increases how much damage you're doing. We have 3 points in Iron Sigils for that armor per active sigil, 5 points in Enduring Hope for the maximum increased duration that you can get inside of the skill tree. You can get more duration on idols, but we're not using those. Now you could go for a 4th sigil, but you have a cooldown of 1 second to cast it, and Volatile Reversal only takes you back 4 seconds. So if you actually cast 4 of them and then use Volatile Reversal, there's a chance you won't get the mana back from the very first one that you cast. So I just went with 3 so I wouldn't even worry about it. I gave myself a whole second to be able to Volatile Reversal and get my mana back. Otherwise you might run into some mana issues when Volatile Reversal starts acting up and you don't get all of your mana back. Also have 5 points in Empowering Sigils for more damage per active sigil. You'll have 3 of them, so that's 90% more damage. 3 points in Decree of Flame. This gives you 3 additional fire damage per active sigil. They naturally come with 4 fire damage, so you are actually getting a total of 7 damage per sigil that you have. 3, that's 21 flat fire, and then we're going to convert it over to void, so you now get 21 void damage, and then you also get 15% increased void damage, which means you get 45% void damage on top of the 21 flat, which is a lot of void damage for your Warpath. We have 2 points in World of Alacrity just to unlock the instacast, and with 1 point there it increases the mana cost, gives it a 1 second cooldown, but you can now cast it while you're Warpathing so that you can cast all 3 of them and then Volatile Reversal so that you never really have to stop using Warpath. You will for a split second when you reversal, but you'll instantly start back up and keep going. And then for Anomaly, we're using Anomaly for crit chance, for leech, for some attack speed. We're going to have it false. Now it does have a mana cost. Now if you get rid of the mana cost, if you don't have the bubble follow you, you will never have mana issues. Everything's going to be free for you except the sigils, which you'll get back. However, with a mana cost on this, sometimes when you Volatile Reversal, it'll cast it after that, and then you don't get the mana back. So you end up being 20 mana less than your maximum. Now you can Volatile Reversal again as soon as you have the cooldown come off, and most of the time that will make your mana go back up to full, and then you wait for the next cycle. However, if this is too much of a problem, or if you're having mana issues, taking away this 1 point will fix it. We have 1 point in Void Touch, 1 point in Immediacy, and the nice thing about Void Touch is it automatically applies timer out to everything that's hit. Unfortunately, the skill itself has a 12-second cooldown, so you're not always casting it, but this means Warpath will instantly be hitting them harder. 1 point in Time Bubble, which is a bubble that lasts for 5 seconds. This bubble, as long as you're inside of it, will give you buffs. We have 3 points in Decimation for a crit chance buff, 4 points in Temporal Mastery to make it last longer, 1 point in Lingering Memory so that you keep the buffs of it for 2 seconds after the bubble disappears, 1 point in Time Alert so the bubble is actually cast on you and will follow you. This gives it a mana cost. 2 points in Manipulation to increase your attack speed, 4 points in Time Eater so that you have more leech. You get 2% of all damage leech. This is double for void, and since you're mostly doing void, it means you get 4%. And then with 2 points in void mail, that's increased by another 100%. And then for Lunge, we have Lunge set up basically the same way we always do it. It has a 0 mana cost. We have 4 points of Into the Fray, 3 points into Tactician, 4 points in Forge Arm, 1 point in Unstoppable so you're invincible while lunging, 1 point in Initiative for that 40% buff and 40% crit, 5 points in Avenger's Charge for 200% more crit, 1 point in Brigade so that you get some armor per point of dex, and 1 point in Deadly Aim to increase its base crit chance. For passives, I have 31 points in the Sentinel base class with 5 points in Overwhelm, 6 points in Juggernaut, 5 points in Armor Clad, 5 points in Counterattack, 4 points in Banish, 1 point in Gladiator, and 5 points in Blade Master. And then I have 15 points in the Paladin with 8 points in Defiance, 2 points in Valor, and 5 points in Flash of Brilliance. That's to unlock the Sigils, 0 points in the Forge Guard, and 65 points in the Mastered Void Knight, with 10 points in Abyssal Endurance, 2 points in Sorrow and Steel, 1 point in Void Corruption, 5 points in Temporal Corruption, 8 points in World Eater. This gives you a lot of leech. 8 points in Void Blades. This is a lot of melee void damage for your Warpath. 12 points in Woe, 4 points in Singular Purpose, and 15 points in Dread for that 15% move speed and 120% void damage. And then for items and idols, for the type of idols that you want, there are increased melee void damage idols. Now these are probably going to be one of the bigger boosts that you get. You can also have a chance to proc Manifest Weapon on melee hit. That's not going to be a huge boost to damage. If you want to run other things, you could do increased life. You can get your resistances through idols, which is very helpful because they're a lot harder now to get on gear. But for some extra damage, you can get melee void damage increase on the suffix slot. We have one unique. We have the Wings of Argentus, and the reason for this is you get that 40% less damage taken while moving. Another nice one is you get the 40% chance to gain haste for a second on hit, and since you're always doing hits with Warpath, you'll basically always have haste, which it just helps move you even faster. But that damage reduction is huge and is definitely worth it, especially when you're facing bosses or really powerful rares. They do, 40% less damage, which is really nice. Then for crafted items, we have a Raider Axe that comes with the critical strike chance as an implicit, and then with it we have added melee void, we have added melee critical, health on melee hit, and chance to shred armor. For the offhand, we have a Decicide sword with 23 melee void damage, we have melee critical strike chance, health on melee hit, and chance to chill. For the helm, we have a winged helm for that critical strike avoidance. On it we have Vite strength, increased armor, and increased health. For the amulet, we have a Jade Amulet with damage while channeling, physical penetration, and then necrotic and poison resistance. We have 2 silver rings. On the right ring, we have strength, critical strike chance, health, and fire resistance. On the left ring, we have critical strike chance with strength, health, and endurance. On the belt, we have increased physical strength, dodge on potion use, hybrid health, and critical strike avoidance. Solar Embraces has melee attack speed, critical strike chance, hybrid health, and physical resistance. We're wearing the Heoborean boots with movement speed, vitality, and critical strike avoidance and hybrid health. And then for the class specific relic, we have the Inscribed Tablet, which gives you that -3 mana attack mana cost, which makes Warpath become free, which is huge. And then on it we have critical strike multiplier, critical strike chance, all resistance while channeling. That's going to be the main thing you want to go for first. Try and get that, and then poison resistance. For the character sheet, you can see that we don't have all capped resistances, but you will the moment that you are warpathing. You'll see we're only a little bit shy on necrotic and cold, but everything else is capped, and you can just keep warpathing forever, so that's why you don't need to worry about being hit when you're not channeling. And then for damages, you can see we have 200% void damage, we almost have 300% critical strike multiplier. You're going to have 100% crit with this build, especially after you lunge or have Anomaly active, because the time bubble will give you a boost as well. And for the skill rotation, so what I like to do is I like to put Lunge and I like to put Anomaly on autocast, so that every time that you Volatile Reversal, it'll auto use them, and then you can just Warpath. So I literally can sit here and Warpath forever at this point. Now you're not going to use Lunge or Anomaly while you are Warpathing, but you can use Sigils. So what I'll do is, if I don't have any Sigils or my Sigil timer is almost up, I will auto cast 3 Sigils like I am now while I'm in it, and then I'll Volatile Reversal. And when you Volatile Reversal, it'll auto use the Lunge and the time bubble, which will cast them, and then you can just start Warpathing again. So almost the moment you leave Warpath, you can come back and you'll have your Sigils for their maximum duration. You can see that I still have them. You'll have a Lunge in, and you'll have the time bubble. And then when the timer's going down like it is right now, you can just cast them again, time reversal, boom, and there you go. And you just keep Warpathing and Warpathing and Warpathing. So let's get into some gameplay.